All right, so we've got the Dubinator, Ben Nicholls, and Tim Kacprzak for the end of year review show. This is my favorite podcast of the year, guys, and I am fired up. How you guys going?
I'm frothing.
Yeah. So we've got a few categories. We've got race of the year. We've got single best performance of the year. We've got runner of the year, best backyard ultra doco of the year, which is an exciting new category. Runners to watch in 26 and story of the year and 2026 predictions. So we've got a few categories. I'm fired up. But before we get into them, let's have a quick chat one at a time. Dubes, you must be frothing to make it into state debut at Reds as a member of the Red Backyarders next year.
Yeah, I truly am. I set myself a target last year after watching, Tim and Ben go around at the SAT Champs, and I really wanted to get there again. And so I took some steps, and I got a little bit of a little bit of luck with Victoria's silver ticket being at Shepparton at the GV Backyard Ultra. I know that course very, very well. But I had to do the yards, and yeah, I was very satisfied with the result. And now I can just plan 26 for the SAT Champs in October. So yeah, really, really, really good.
Yeah, but you will be back at Melbourne, I believe.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I think I'm still one race away. I think I'm still one whole block of training and preparation and another block of racing away from being really ready to compete, with the big boys. So a race in between now and October is just, another building block to get there.
Hmm.
And I still think I'm continuously improving in the format, even though I've been around for God a long, long time now. So I think, yeah, if I have a proper preparation and race before October, that'll do me the world of good. And I just chose Melbourne because in Victoria, and really good time of year. And I had such a good time this year with Ben. It's a really good course and really, you can really run big numbers if you're committed to it. You know, Obviously you need a good field of competitors along with you, which I'm positive there will be. So yeah, I'm doing Melbourne. That's the one I'm doing. I'm committed to before Sat Champs in October.
Yeah, awesome. I reckon Melbourne will be an epic race. And Tim, you've run one backyard ultra for the win at MVP, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I've done another last man standing, which was King of the Hill. But yeah, my only backyard ultra for the year was MVP, which was early on in the year, which was a nice hot one, and I got away with a win on I think 29 or 30 yards, which was nice.
Yeah, I think it was 31. I think the Crow pulled out at 30, but it was still a tough race. I remember afterwards you saying that you still got the full backyard ultra experience.
Yeah, I felt like that race was, when you're kind of feeling like absolute crap and you haven't kind of broken through to the bigger numbers where you start feeling a little bit more validated for your performance. Well, that's where I was when the event stopped. So, so yeah, reflecting on it, I would say it was one of the harder backyard ultras that I've done, but I think it was just where it's happened to stop.
Yeah, cool. And are you planning on doing any backyard ultras before Sat Champs?
Yeah, so I'm signed up for Sydney, and so I'll be heading over to Sydney in April. And yeah, so I think there's a few internationals going over there. So Michitaro's going over, so he's got a PB of 94. So hopefully he can go far, and I can kind of push my PB up a little bit further.
Yeah, awesome. And Ben, you've also won a backyard ultra this year at Melbourne. You're still like I think you're 15th on the at-large list for the Australian team. So what are your plans for 26?
I think I'm 14th. I think Barry Keane
Ooh.
might be under me now. That might be since Dube won his silver ticket. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, that would be.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. So I'm having trouble getting leave from work. I'm supposed to be at work for the Sat Champs. So I put in a leave request in June, which got denied. So at this stage, I don't know what I'm going to do. My plan was to go to Reds in August for the silver ticket, and just either get the silver ticket or do enough to stay on the list, or if I didn't, then hope that my 62 was enough.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a bit hard. I've got a bit going on at work regarding rostering and stuff like that. So there's a chance that my roster will change before August. If it doesn't, then yeah, honestly, I haven't got a plan yet.
Ooh.
So yeah, it's a bit tricky. I wish I had a better answer for you.
You'll
Yeah,
be
all
there.
right. Well, yeah, well, hopefully you can get up there. That will be the third year in a row. You and Tim, third year or third time you've represented the Red Backyarders in a row.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It will suck if I have to miss it. Yeah. I'm sure I can probably get the time off. I'll just have to do some wheeling and dealing and get some people to fill in for me and pay back some favors later on. But the problem, if it was a just a normal ultra, I only need a couple of days. But something like this, I need 7 or 8 days off. So
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
All right, so we may as well kick off with race.
Sorry,
Oh,
Patto.
that's all right.
Just before we go to the first category, like you're equal parts in this podcast. So tell us about your year. How yeah, you obviously been around the bush.
Yeah, so this year I ran four backyard ultras. It wasn't the best year as far as results go, but I had a good time. I think I did 19 at MVP. I did 33 at Two Rivers, 30 at GV, and Wild Dog. I did like 19 as well, I think. I was a bit unwell for Wild Dog and Two Rivers, and yeah, like it just I was happy with the 33. It was just one of those years where I'm going to do better next year. That's my main goal. But I had a good time. That's the main thing. And I think I'm going to limit myself to two backyards next year, and hopefully I still do the same amount of yards, but over fewer races. So, and then I ran at Last Legend on the weekend, and I did a 6 hour timed ultra not long ago as well, and I loved doing that. So I'm going to start squeezing more of those types of races in between the backyard ultras to keep having fun because I think that's the key.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
What ones are you doing next year, Patto?
At the moment, I'm going to be doing the North Vic double, which is Two Rivers and GV.
Yeah. Or
Um,
Two Rivers straight into Sat Champs.
yeah, maybe. Yeah, that would be good. But yeah, maybe MVP. It depends if Farms runs or not. If Farms runs, I'll be crewing him. If he doesn't run, I'll run. But I'd prefer to crew for him. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see how we go. He's got plantar fascia, so
Oh,
he's
bummer.
Oh, poor
yeah,
bugger.
yeah. Shall we kick off things with race of the year? I've
Sure.
got Dubes first.
Oh,
You're,
first come off rank.
yeah.
This one, I'm just going through my notes to make sure I don't get things out of order. But look, putting bigs aside, like being a bigs year, like bigs would always be my number one, regardless of results or anything. But putting bigs aside, I really can't go past Dead Cow Gully. I know that'll probably be a common answer, a common theme tonight. Just with you know the sheer international field. This is the international field that Tim was able to get together was nothing short of special. Yeah, putting bigs aside, there simply wouldn't be a bigger backyard race in the world. Um, And obviously the results speak for themselves. Look, we had a world record, Phil Gore, Sam Harvey, with him all the way up to 118. We had a female Aussie record in Holly Ranson running 61. Heaps of people would have got PBs out of that race. It probably stands out as the best race. Like I'm obviously biased to Australia. I don't know, I don't really follow the rest of the world now that there's so many races around the world. But I can't go past Dead Cow Gully. And just honourable mention, I think earlier in the year, the April version of Sydney's was a really big event too. That was probably the first race that was really, highly anticipated and promoted really well. And it come up as a really, really good race as well. So, yeah, but I'm all for Dead Cow Gully. I think that was definitely the best non-bigs race of the year.
Yeah, it was epic. What about you, Tim? Race of the year?
Yeah. So for me, Dead Cow Gully was the same as Dubes. You can't go past the field that Tim managed to assemble for that race. We had, and I think it's pretty amazing what the international runners can do having to travel over. You had like Merrin is one of the greatest of all time, right? Again, turned up and just performed. Oriel broke 100 for the first time for himself. Jen Russo turned back the clock and she put on an amazing performance as well. Yep, Holly and Jane both breaking their respective countries' records. Harvey doing Harvey things, just turns up and has fun, has a big old laugh about it. But I really like the two Japanese runners, the Michitaro and Hiroto. It was amazing, and it was like the creation of the legend that is Bagman now, which was it was great. And Dubes didn't mention, but Jonathan Ash joining that 100 club for Australia, that was pretty special to see that. It wouldn't have been. It didn't look easy out there because it looked like a pretty hot race. And then we watched Sam Harvey tear both his Achilles to try and beat Phil Gore, and just in the hope that Phil would trip over on the lap somewhere and wouldn't finish. And then obviously Phil broke the world record as well. But the one big standout for me was that we actually added another family member to the house for 5 days, and that was you, Patto. So you were on our screens for 5 days straight, right? And it was funny as because that's all we could hear is you commentating that event until right at the end where you turned into like the weird uncle that doesn't drink too much because you were so sleep deprived. But it was a pretty epic no, yeah, so Dead Cow Gully for me. But yeah, that was probably the highlight. Your commentating for Dead Cow Gully really made that event as well.
Yeah, thanks. I definitely had the time of my life. It kind of ended up just feeling like a dream, but it was such a great experience, and so many people watched as well, which was amazing. Yeah, it was an epic race.
Yeah,
Um,
it was pretty.
yeah. What about you, Ben?
I'm gonna go slightly different, and I'm gonna stick with bigs. I've got Dead Cow down on my notes here for all the same reasons. Um, they're pretty hard to separate, and the fact that Dead Cow was so big with it just being a race, not a championship race or something like that. Yeah, props to Tim for getting that on, as big as it was. But yeah, Biggs was huge. I only really watched closely two backyards for the whole year, and that was Dead Cow and Biggs. I think Biggs had something like 22 national records, 30 something PBs out of 75 runners. A heap of people cracked 100. Two women went into the 90s. A third woman went into the 70s. Yeah. And some of those national records were big ones, they're big countries like France, Spain, and Germany, I think, got a new national record.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to go past those sorts of stats for me. There was and it was huge. And Evo, who is just, the nicest 50-something-year-old guy who seems to just peak and trough, just peaked on the day, and he was just such an awesome. It was awesome to see him assist out of nowhere. You know, no one would have picked him as the assist at that sort of number. And then obviously Phil, you know, Aussie favourite, taking the win, sort of completing his trophy cabinet for backyards, I think. Yeah, that's sort of made it pretty special for me.
Yeah. Belgium have they have so many great backyard ultra runners, but I reckon that performance makes Evo the greatest Belgian backyard ultra runner of all time.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
hard, isn't
100%.
it? Yeah. I mean, Miran has probably the better record so far as hundreds go, but Evo just seems to be able to, on his day, he just seems to be able to dig something out. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So with mine, I've picked 3 races. Third was GV, with the Dube finishing as the last one standing with 60 yards. 4 wins in a row at GV. 4 runners made it into the 50s. Rock and Roll Joel Sexbomb Sexton proved how good he is too with the new PB, and as well as the assist. The course record was smashed by 21 yards. And the race more than proved itself worthy of the silver ticket status. I've got Dead Cow Gully. I reckon it's easily the best backyard ultra to ever have been run on Australian soil. Not only was the world record set, but like you guys said, we saw 2 new members added to the 100 club with Jashi and Oriel. Moran ran his 4th 100 yards in a backyard ultra. The Crow backed up after his 48 at Melbourne to break 50. Harvey Lewis ran another huge race. Simon McLean went absolutely berserk. Holly Ranson broke the Australian female record, and Jane McAlpine broke the New Zealand female record, and Jen Russo showed again that she's a legend, running a new PB of 76 yards. So, but yeah, I couldn't go past Biggs either. It was such an amazing field, and there were so many interesting storylines going into the race as well. Like Harvey Lewis was going for 3 in a row. Phil Gore was coming in again as the world record holder. There was everyone had realistic expectations that the female would break 100 for the first time. And watching the first 24 hours and seeing the conditions the runners ran through, and then the extended time on the road, it just got more and more epic as the race went on. And that 10 hours in the 90s, I reckon, is the best 10 hours ever in sport, in the history of the world sport. We had Dan Carmack run 93 yards. Sarah Perry broke the female world record with 95. And Hendrick ran 100 after his heartbreak 2 years earlier. And then the finish was just epic, and Phil's performance was just amazing. So
Yeah, Phil was above everyone in that race. Like he wasn't done when he finished. Everyone else was done, but he had so much more left in him. Like he's so far ahead of the pack that it's not funny.
Yeah. Single best performance of the year. Do you want to go first, Tim?
Yes. So single best performance. So you can't go past Phil, and his Biggs performance. He had to decide between doing the 24-hour world champs, or go to Biggs, and he actually had nothing to prove by going to Biggs. He'd competed, he'd broken the world record, and he'd competed against the best in the world in Harvey Lewis and Merrin and Oriel and all those guys. And that performance, it was just so clinical that it was backyard ultra performance that we've seen him do time and time again. But this time he turned up. He knew that Vrobel was going to be there. He knew that all the big guns were going to be there. And you could look at that course and say that world record wasn't going to get broken. So he could have not gone to that race. That record would not have stood, and he would have still been the world record holder. But he actually said, no, I'll actually prove to everyone, not only can I break the world record, but I can actually go on the hardest course on the planet and actually beat everyone that's there as well. So I think it's really hard to pass Phil. Like, I mean, there's a lot of honorable mentions in goes, but for me, Phil was on point.
Yeah, for sure. Ben, single best performance of the year.
This is a really hard one, isn't it? I mean, there's such an obvious answer that you want to go for something else just to mix it up a bit. But yeah, I don't know. You can't go past Phil's 100 and well, do you pick his world record or do you pick his world championship? It's tough. I'll go the world championship just like Tim because it was a tougher course and it was a stacked field and the stakes were higher and it was more even for everybody and the former world champion was at home, so yeah, it's hard to go past it. But again, there's so many others. You could pick his world record. You could pick Sarah Perry. You could pick Evo's assist. You could pick Sam destroying his body at Dead Cow. So awesome year in that way.
Oh, yeah. There were some epic performances, and I had to pick 4. So number 4, Jashi, 100 yards at Dead Cow Gully.
Yeah, and that.
Yeah. Like when someone runs 80 yards like Jashi did at Sydney's, I reckon they're more than entitled to believe that they can reach 100 yards. And Jashi's like a scientist, the way he approaches backyard ultras. And he made some adjustments, worked hard and broke 100 at Dead Cow Gully. I was there and I got emotional seeing it too. Like you would have seen on the live stream, I cried a little bit. So
it had nothing to do with sleep deprivation.
So I had to put him in there. Dan Carmack, 93 yards at Biggs. He was a late call up and absolutely grabbed the bull by the horns and went berserk. It looked like he was on track to break 100 for a while, but to go through those weather conditions, run for longer on the road than expected, and to smash his previous PB while looking so composed as well, it was something else. And I made him my runner to watch 2 years ago, and I think he's proved me correct.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I've got Hendrick, 100 yards at Biggs. He was the heartbreak story of Biggs 2 years ago when he was DQ'd after 60 yards. Came back to Biggs, a man on a mission, so well prepared and so determined. And you could say he looked so professional out there to 100 yards. Everyone.
He actually... Oh, sorry to cut you off, Patto.
That's all right.
He was on your podcast, and I listened to that episode, and it's really funny because since then he's become a father. He's taken a more relaxed approach to training. I actually looked at his training, and I actually didn't think that he was going to get as just based on his training, but he did, and he excelled. He went so far beyond it, and he himself even said, "Oh, look, I don't think I'm as trained or I've been doing as many kilometers," but he ended up pulling it out of the bag. And it was actually awesome to see because I was there when he was DQ'd at Biggs a couple of years back, and to see him actually get his redemption story was awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I was so happy for him. I think everyone who knew his story was so happy for him. And Phil Gore was my number 1. His run at Biggs. It wasn't a PB and it wasn't the world record, but I think it was definitely the best performance in any backyard ultra ever. I mean, considering the other runners in the race, the travel, the conditions I already mentioned, and he left all the other runners in their wake. It was one of those performances where it didn't even look close between first and second. And it was funny at the end, he said, remember he said he wasn't going to run another backyard ultra and everyone thought he was serious. But he was just joking, so that was pretty cool. I
think you got to remember he stood there next to Evo's chair as well on the last lap. He didn't even sit down.
Yeah.
He just stood there like he was waiting for a mate.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that was a classic. That was just amazing. Dubes, your performance of the year?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to say anything new. I did think for a second that maybe Ben might put the Dead Cow Gully performance of Phil ahead of Biggs, but in the end, all three of you went with Biggs. And look, uh, rightfully so, in my opinion. Looking at it objectively, the two best performances of the year were clearly both Phil Gore's top races. Um, and for anyone that's listening, that's an athletics fan, I sort of compare the two races like, the Olympics and the Diamond League.
Mm.
Lots of world records get broken in Diamond League races. It's very much um, results, orientated, but the Olympics is the first pillar of the sport, and winning the Olympic gold medal is what every athletics runner, wants to do. And so, of course, I agree with all three of you. I definitely put Biggs ahead of his Dead Cow Gully performance, purely just because of everything you three guys have already mentioned. It was just probably the best performance we've ever seen in a backyard ultra. And that's all I've got.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect analogy comparing Diamond League to Olympics because
Mm.
that's exactly what it's like. Um, let's see. So from performance of the year, we move to runner of the year. Ben, would you like to go first?
You sure I want to go to a different one first? Might sound very similar to the last category.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
poor Phil. Poor Phil's going to be blushing on his Monday
Uh,
on
yeah.
his run tomorrow. He's going to be, oh well.
uh,
Are we?
well,
Are you going to rename the podcast the Phil Gore Appreciation episode?
well, 2 years ago, I said I don't think he can go past the world champion for runner of the year. So got to stick with that. It's a world champion and world record holder. So yeah, I don't know how you can pick someone else.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I have picked three. Ezra Dingo was my third place. He burst onto the backyard ultra scene this year with back-to-back 50 plus yard last one standing runs, Sydney's and Reds. And they were only like 5 or 6 weeks apart. So definitely the real deal. And I think that those two performances definitely deserves a mention. And you know what? I really hope I can get him on the podcast. He's a hard nut to crack. Um, so if you're listening, Ezra, please come on. Uh, I've got Oriole. Breaking 100 by itself is hard to do just once, but to do it twice in a calendar year, I think is one of the hardest things to do in any sport. So Oriole did it breaking 100 at Dead Cow Gully and at Biggs. He's only the second person who've broken 100 twice in a calendar year. And Phil's the only other person who has done it. He's done it twice. So he's my runner of the year. And I don't think there could be a more dominant backyard ultra runner on earth. Or I think he's actually the most dominant sports person on earth. Full stop. I don't think you can pick I can't think of a more dominant sports person on earth.
Yeah, I think we underestimate how tough it is to run these events. I'm starting to believe more and more that what some of these athletes are achieving is absolutely phenomenal because it is one thing to have speed and things like that, but you're actually to break beyond talent and actually endure a different level of almost reality. It's tough. It's so hard. You go on a roller coaster ride, and if being the best athlete means that you're the most talented person on the planet, then okay. But I mean, Phil's not only talented, but he's able to problem solve on the go in such a way where he's just, he's constantly evolving. He's constantly staying so far ahead of the pack, and no one can. You just can't get one up on him because he's so far ahead.
Yeah, that's the thing I love about backyard ultras is that talent alone isn't going to get you 100 yards. You've got to work so hard to be able to reach that kind of level.
Yeah, 100%. There's like so many different aspects to it too. Not only do you have to be physically strong, but you've got to be mentally strong. Then you've got to be a problem solver. You've got to know about nutrition. You've got to know about sleep. You got to. There's not too many other sports on the planet that require you to be such an all-rounder at everything that you do.
Yeah, for sure. Runner of the year, Dubes.
Yeah, I'll go honourable mention first. I think this was the year that Jashi leapfrogged so many Aussie runners to become the second number, the number two guy. Um, and I guess it's something to be said about Phil Gore when, you talk about just how good Jonathan Ash's year was. That at no point in any backyard ultra did Jashi look like he was going to win a race, and he now look to be honest, I think he's probably leapfrogged Croft as the number two guy. Um, so I couldn't go past Jashi as the honourable mention. And obviously that leaves the runner of the year to Phil. I think you're really hitting it, Dave, what you're talking about. Not only was it the best year, but it is obviously the best year anyone's ever had in backyard running. Like he had three races, 314 yards undefeated. You think there'd probably be a dozen Aussies that have run 300 yards in their life. And he's done it in one calendar year. Winning bigs, world record, just hanging out for an 81 with Jashi in April at Sydney's. I don't know if it's even possible if anyone can have a better year than what Phil had in 2025. 2 years ago, I gave Runner of the Year to Harvey Lewis, obviously, for winning bigs. Last year, even though Phil was probably the best runner in the world, I think a couple of us gave it to Craw for his 96 at the SAT Champs. But this year, Phil was just so far superior to the rest of the world. You can't go past it. Phil Gore, he's the man.
Yeah. What do you think, Tim? Runner of the
I'm not going to mention Phil. I'm done. I'm done mentioning Phil. So I'm not going to mention it, but I've got a lot of really good honourable mentions. I actually think that so I had young runner for me was Dan Kamak. He's a super inspirational young guy, super nice. I love his family as well. His mum and dad, they're amazing humans. His performance was like it was one out of the box. Like he never looked like he was going to stop. And like we seen him, we were watching the live stream, and it was epic to watch him. I actually think that the only person that could have taken it to Phil more than Evo was Sarah Perry. I watched her performance, and even in the early 90s when she was still going, she was coming in, and she was probably the only one that I thought, oh, she's actually coming in like really consistently. And if it hadn't been for her back spasming, I watched her interview after the event, and she, out of everyone that I watched get interviewed apart from Phil, she was the only one that still had their wits about them at the end of the race. And that goes pretty far in backyard ultras. But her back obviously gave way. But that was one of the most impressive performances that I've ever seen by anyone, male or female. And I think that, yeah, obviously Phil is, yeah, runner of the year, but I think Sarah Perry is one to watch. She's only 34 years old as well.
Yeah.
So I can't, I don't think I don't think that there's anyone in the UK that can go with her. And I would love it if someone tried to get her to a race where there's some more 100+ runners and see what she can actually do. Because unfortunately, her and Evo both came in with sideways and, their back going on them. But yeah, I definitely think that she's got a lot more to give in the sport, and she's not far away from that 100. But yeah, obviously, yeah, Phil's, yeah, obviously had a best year out of it, the lot.
Yeah. New category. Best Backyard Ultra Doco of the Year. Dubes.
Oh, okay. I actually thought it was a bit of a low year for docos, to be honest. I've always really
Didn't you put a
enjoyed.
doco out, Patto?
Yeah,
That's a slap in the face.
Uh, Take that back. It was a fantastic year for docos. No, I've just traditionally really liked
I
the older
only
style ones.
I only put this category in so you could all say mine was the best. Nah,
Of course,
just
yours,
joking.
of course, yours was the best. But look, one that did resonate with me and that I sort of keep sort of sometimes going back to was James Blanton's. I think it's called Ascension. Um, yeah, I just really liked. It was really personal. Like I like the ones that focus on an individual rather than a race because I think you get that raw, um, personal storytelling that makes it really, really satisfying to watch. And obviously, being a backyard runner myself, you put yourself in those situations and you can really relate to them. And I think, yeah, James Blanton, we're sort of in a similar age bracket, so a lot of the things that he would talk about or go through, I found myself really relating to it. And a really special moment that I really thought was super great was when he spoke candidly about his friendship and relationship with Ryan Crawford. And I thought that was a really touching moment to talk about, mature age dudes don't get a lot of opportunities to make friends. Um, and yeah, I thought it was a really good doco. So look, that one sticks out for me, other than yours, Patto.
What about you, Tim?
Oh yeah, hard nuts. Definitely. Number one doco, not of the year, of the decade. That hard nuts doco was the best thing that I've ever seen, Patto. But I do have an honorable mention aside from your hard nuts doco. And just like Dubes, I really like that Jimmy B one. The guys at Lumina, they put that together beautifully. And I've seen a lot of backyard ultra docos try and do the same thing, but uh, not as professional as what those guys put it together. And what I really liked about it, I thought it was going to be about Jimmy B, but it actually wasn't. It kind of blended everything. So Jimmy B was like the kind of the narrator in the background, and the videos that they had playing over it were, they told stories of like the beginners and people starting out. You had a guy doing his first one and how excited his partner was to see him at the finish line. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. So it wasn't so much about being, elitism. It was more about, human achievement. And I thought that really kind of resonated well, but then it still kind of kept the whole Jimmy B, because he is an elite. So it still told his story towards the end of it. And yeah, it showed all his emotion. It showed his partner how she helped. It, his, I think it was Glenn, his his crewmate that was there. Like he was great, like he was talking about what he was doing, his foot care, and all those other things, and just the nitty gritty stuff that happens inside the tent. They showcase so much of that. The foot care, the nutrition, the going to sleep, the not being able to go to sleep, the coming in and being miserable at 30 hours, then coming in at 50 hours and being happy again and thinking that an injury went away when it really didn't go away. And, that whole roller coaster played out really nicely. And like Dubes mentioned with Ryan, that I had the pleasure of running with Ryan for 24 hours at a point to point event. And he's a super nice guy. He's got a real hard exterior, but when you actually get to know him, he's one of the nicest guys you could ever meet. You can crack a joke with him, and I love that they had that in the doco between Ryan and Jimmy B because they've got this bromance, and it was funny how when Jimmy B was talking about it, that they ran Clint Eastwood, and it wasn't until it was only the two of them left and they didn't even know that. Well, yeah, he didn't even know his name. Like Ryan didn't even know Jimmy B's name, and I'm like, that's so cool. And then next minute, these guys are the best mates. They're, doing epic 24-hour training sessions together, stuff like that. And But I think the highlight of it was I didn't realize that Jimmy B, the way he speaks so well.
Mm.
And it was really, really like him narrating that doco was perfect. But then you don't realize that, hey, he's the main character in the doco. So yeah, I really liked it. I watched a fair few of them, fair few docos throughout the year, like the Nick Bear one. That was good, but it was a little bit too full on for me. So yeah, so honorable mention that a session one from Lamina, but yeah, the number one was Hard Nuts.
Right. What about you, Ben?
Well, now it feels like a good time to tell you guys I've never watched a Backyard Ultra doco.
Oh,
Not even Dead Cow Gully.
No, not one. Not in my whole life.
not even
So,
not even the early ones, Ben, like the bigs
no.
2018 and 19.
Oh, maybe one. Maybe the one that Maggie won.
Courtney or Maggie?
No,
Yeah.
Maggie, yeah.
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 It's all right.
Yeah.
I'm just taking some notes. I'll just make sure I'll take the clips of the ones that I'm in and I'll just send them to you, just the good bits.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Especially the
don't worry.
bits where I'm going, the bits where I'm going out in a ambulance. They're the funny ones.
Yeah, I've seen the short. I've seen shorts of that. Yeah. Don't worry. There is some guilt there that I haven't watched my mates' docos, and that's why I've never told you until right now.
Hey, at least you're
But I'm
honest.
sure that Patto's would be amazing, and I will watch Jimmy B's now that you've both raved about it.
Yeah, well, I'm about to rave about it some more because I love the war horse, and you get a real close-up look into what he's like and how he approaches like life and backyard ultras, and he's been around for a little while, and it was really good to be able to see what he's like, showcase his personality through that, and also through the Jimmy B and White Kenyon podcast as well that they did. I loved
Yeah, that
that.
was a great podcast too. That was actually pretty enjoyable. I like to, what they were talking about, especially when they started talking about being that, that 40 to 50 range males and some of the things that they had going on with their iron deficiencies and things like that. I actually didn't realize how much that, takes a toll.
Yeah.
And I think that it was good to hear them start talking, that they talked about some of their medical stuff.
Yeah, and I know some people who went out and got blood tests because they listened to the podcast of them talking about it.
Yeah, just how we sweat so much, and our iron. That's why our iron levels can be low, and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed those podcasts that you guys put together.
And look, I know I've put Surrender, Go One More Ultra as my number one. I thought it was so much different from your usual backyard ultra doco, with its soundtrack, footage, and overall vibe. And at first, it made me feel weird, and I kind of like, and like while I was watching it, like I even thought it was going to make me throw up a little bit, but in the end, it pulled me in. And I mean, it's long, but I think it's something special. The last 30 minutes, especially, I thought was just like, it drew me in and I couldn't look away. So I put that one as my number one.
Not hard nuts.
Oh, yeah, actually, Hard Nuts is my number one. Yeah. Yeah. I actually, when I was making it, I was thinking, because I'd lost my job and stuff, I remember thinking, oh, yeah, I'm not going to have to get another job because this is going to get so many views on YouTube. I'm just going to have to, I can live off it. That's what I was seriously thinking that.
So funny.
Runners to watch in 2026. Tim?
I got a few. I got a lot. So I've got one that I don't think that anyone's going to say, and that's Phil Gore. The reason I say Phil is because he's done everything. So I'm actually interested to see what he actually does. I know he's got the 24-hour world champs or the 24-hour that he wants to get really good at. The only thing missing out of his trophy cabinet is leading a Sat Champs team to victory. I think if he did that, he might just give it all up. But yeah, but he's also such an amazing advocate for backyard ultras in general. Like he's so supportive. So he runs his clinics around Australia now, helping people out. And to get access to the greatest backyard ultra runner of all time, you know, and they're not expensive clinics either. And I'm not doing an ad for him, but like just for him to turn up to all these places, and you've got people turning up and asking all these questions, and Gemma's there as well. I think it's amazing. So if that's where he's kind of going, that's awesome. But I think I want to see his next move in terms of races. I know he's off to Bali. That's pretty cool, and I'm wrapped for him because everyone's kind of obviously they're shouting him the airfares and the accommodation and everything to go to Bali, which is awesome because he deserves it. The amount of work that guy puts in to be able to do that, I think, is awesome. So yeah, I am interested to see where he goes with his backyard ultras, whether they turn into more promo things, which is cool. But on an international level, that Michitaro, old mate Bagman, I think him returning to Australia for Sydney Backyard Ultra, he's the draw card for Sydney Backyard Ultra, and it's a silver ticket. So I don't think, well, that's one of the main reasons I kind of want to go because I want to be tested, and you're going to have internationals there, which is really cool. But I think that we got to protect our silver tickets in Australia as well. So if there are any Aussies listening, sign up to Sydney Backyard Ultra because we've got to make sure that we don't have an international runner run away with our silver ticket. Although it's null and void, but it's good. I think we should be the ones, battling for those silver tickets. So I had him. In terms of females, I'm interested to see where Holly goes. I know that she's not super interested in backyard ultras, but she's super good at them. So that's going to be an interesting one. Same as Sarah Perry, is she going to chase another big race to try and get to 100? On the Aussie front, I had our good mate Joel Sex Bomb Sexton, rock and roll Joel. He's like, because obviously I work with Joel. Is as focused as I've ever seen him. I think he went through a stage where he had that breakout performance, and we all thought, "Wow, this guy's going to, take it to the next level." And he didn't drop back or anything like that, but I think he would admit to himself that he didn't have the performances that he wanted. But he's finally kind of come back and let go of that initial performance at No Time to Die. And against you, Dubes, I think you guys went toe to toe for so long. He had some issues in the end there at GV, but I mean, I think he's going to have a huge year, and he's so keen. And there's so many people that are keen to get on that Sat Champs team. I say it every year. Like I'm lucky that I'm on that team, but I'm still always nervous, and I'm still always chasing a silver ticket because I can see you there, Dubes. You're beaming because you're just sitting pretty with your silver ticket, and it does feel nice. So, but yeah, and then I guess the last runner to watch. Sorry, I've gone through bloody 10 people, but my last runner to watch is Ezra Dingo. He has not been proven yet. I don't feel. I think he had his first go at a backyard ultra, which was a good performance. But then he's gone 54 and 53 and been the last one standing in both those events. So he's my kind of smoky that I'm looking forward to seeing, and I think he's definitely a runner to watch.
Yeah, for sure. Ben, runners to watch in 26.
Yeah, I've got a long list myself. Yeah, I've got Dan Kamak for the same reasons. Will he go bigger? Does he want to go bigger? I remember when you interviewed him a couple of years ago, maybe, or last year.
Yeah.
He had no interest even at going to bigs back then. And now he's one of the best in the world, one of the best results in the world. So yeah, I know Dan a bit, and I'm sure if I messaged him I could get an answer, but Sarah Perry and Megan Eckert. Same thing with Sarah. What's she going to do next year? does Megan want to get her record back? That, could potentially be the making of a pretty epic sort of defining friendly rivalry, no doubt. But both those women are amazing. And last time you asked me this question, I said Jonathan Knoll, and that was because he hadn't run any races except for bigs in the previous year. John still hasn't run anything but bigs for 4 years now. So I don't know if John's ever going to run another race or if he's just going to keep doing bigs until he can't qualify. But yeah, I find that really interesting. I would love to have a chat to him one day about that. But
How good
yeah.
was his run at Bigs?
Oh, every single one of his runs is good.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he's so consistent for someone who doesn't seemingly practice or incredibly consistent. And if you go back through his older records, he's been a handy runner. So there's no reason. But
Yeah, he actually plays video games all year.
Yeah, I
and
remember you
then
telling me that.
Yeah, he plays video games and then he runs every 2 years and then plays video games in between that.
Madness. And I've got Sam Harvey wondering, where Sam's heart lies at the moment, because he's sort of just slowly chipping away at building a reasonable career away from backyards, but he's also the second highest ever total. So I'm interested to see if he's interested in doing many backyards next year, if he's coming back to take it to Phil again. Yeah, I think that's worth watching. And that's mostly my list, apart from, what will Phil do?
Yeah, I think Sam's he's such an exciting and popular runner as well. People watch when Sam Harvey's running.
Yeah, for sure,
So my runners to watch for 26, I've got Sean McKinney. He keeps improving, this dude. He's run 3 backyard ultras and runs a PB each time. And he had a big run at MVP this year. It was so hot. He did 25 yards. He kicked my ass. And then he kicked my ass again at GV when he did 33. And I reckon he's the kind of guy who'll be setting himself some bigger goals in 26. And I hope he does, because I think he has what it takes to be pretty good. Luke Slater, definitely one of the newcomers of the year, with a real breakout performance at GV when he ran 52 yards. He's a hard nut, and he's also a Brit. And that 52 should qualify him for the UK Sat Champs team. And he's confirmed that he wants to run, and he's going to run. So it's going to be a lot of fun watching how he goes over there against like the likes of Sarah Perry, Matthew Blackburn, and Alex Sweet. How cool will that be to watch? And Ezra Dingo as well. Like, he's one of my runners to watch for sure. He's obviously the real deal, and he'll be duking it out to make the Red Backyarders next year. So I think we'll see some big numbers from him, and hopefully I can get him on the podcast.
I'll ask him at Sydney.
Yeah. I
don't. Get him on your podcast first, Tim.
Yeah. Dubes, who are you?
It's a race to get Ezra Dingo on a podcast.
Yeah.
Patto, I'm glad you brought up Sean McKinney, because I've actually raced against him a number of times, and I've always made it a point to sort of like talk to him. Look, he's definitely what you would call a hybrid athlete. He's obviously got a big history in gym culture.
Big rig.
Yeah, he's got a big rig, which is the exact opposite to me. But every time I talk to him, I just get the feeling, and I've already said this to you, Patto. I just get the feeling he just really wants to be a good ultra runner. All his mates are obviously very heavy in the weights and things like that. So there's no doubt, he's he's a big boy, but he really works hard on his running. And if he sticks at it, he could be a really good ultra runner. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Patto. But internationally, Sarah Perry's the one for me. Like as one of you guys said, she's sort of I don't know if she's got a rival in the UK. So if she really wants to run 100, she probably does have to go internationally, whether that's Australia or somewhere else. And you sort of said, Ben, about Megan Eckert, like she probably doesn't have to go internationally. She could just hang out for the American Sat Champs and run 100 there if she wants to. I think Sarah might have to look for an event if she wants to run 100. So good luck to her and good luck to Meg Eckert.
Sorry, Matt,
Yeah.
I know Matthew Blackburn's a decent runner, but Henrik lives over in the UK as well, and Suffolk might be the one. Because I said the exact same thing. I said that, yeah, she might have to go to internationally, but I forgot about Suffolk
Mm.
yeah, if she goes there and Matthew Blackburn goes there and Henrik goes there, and yeah, she's got a elite field.
Yeah, and Lukács,
Yeah.
he might go back to defend his title.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. Yeah. I'll stick domestically now because I think this is the exciting part of the backyard ultra format, at the high level. We've still got a whole season to go, and there is an absolute bottleneck of runners in the 50s and low 60s, and it sort of starts with Ben Yu on 62 and goes all the way down to the Crow on maybe 52. And there's probably a dozen runners in that block, and they're all keen to run big numbers. And so, like, obviously, yourself, Ben, and Barry Keem in the 60s. Barry's, he's on 62, but that's simply not going to be enough. So he's going to have to find either a silver ticket event or another big event and put a number down. And then, you got Joel. Obviously, he's going to need to run a big number as well. Obviously, a really big one is Ezra Dingo. He's just ready to run a big number. He's in the 50s at the moment, but I don't think anyone that watched him run either of those two races that he won, I don't think anyone would suggest that he's sort of ready to stop there. So he's got a big number ready to go. You got the Crow. He's looking to post a big number. Holly. There's a small chance she might be Australia's only chance to have a female represent on the Sat Champs team. Hopefully not. But to be honest, her 61, it simply won't be enough. So if she even thinks about wanting to represent Australia at the Set Champs, she's going to have to put another race down. It's as simple as that. Who else have we got? We've got, Simon Bennett. I've got Colin Meldon. They've put up big totals on the other side of the country. And yeah, there's a few others, but yeah, there's a real big bottleneck, and there's a whole season of big races to go. So that number that, to be honest, that you're on, Ben, I think you're going to have to throw down another race because I just don't think 62 is enough without a silver ticket, with so many races still to come.
What do you reckon the
So yeah,
number is?
all those names. What do you think?
What do you think the number is?
The minimum. Look, I think I'm not sure what Rob Parsons is up to. I don't know if he's sort of still engaged in the backyard format. But look, I think if you don't have a 65 with a win next to it, I think you're going to be a bit stressed out. I think above that, you might be safe, but 65 with a win might be what it takes. That's just my opinion.
Ben, you've scraped in every single year. You've just sat back and gone, well, whatever will be, and the cards fall wherever they fall. What's your prediction? What do you think the number's got to be? Because whatever you say, I think that's the safe number.
Yeah, whatever I'm on is what you need.
Yeah, yes, that's what I wanted to hear.
I don't know how I keep doing it, but yeah, I do. Um, yeah, yeah. Mine's a crappy situation at the moment. I really need, it's not easy to run 62 plus. You need to be motivated, and when you don't know if you've got the time off work to go, it's going to be hard to show up somewhere and give it 110%, and only to find out that you can't go anyway. So, and I don't want to take a silver ticket either if I can't use it. So it's a bit of a pain in the butt.
And what about Melbourne? You're not going to go back and defend your crown?
Oh, God, yeah. I'll waiting for Sean to message me and say, "Hey, why haven't you entered yet?"
I will call Sean tonight.
So
Expect a phone call from Sean in 15 minutes.
I will probably go back to Melbourne just because Sean's always been a good supporter of mine. So I feel like I need to be a supporter of his for sure. So
Nice.
yeah. Why are we talking about me?
Um,
You're at the top of the list.
well, Ben, it is your turn. Backyard Ultra story of the year.
Yeah, geez. Another tough one, hey? Um, I'm gonna give my honorable mention to the boring one, which is Phil getting his world record and world championship in the 1 year. We don't need to go over everything that we've already talked about, but if in Backyard Ultra the movie, I think we would be at the end, and that's where it would end. Phil finally getting his world championship after having a couple of chances and falling short. His rivalry with Harvey and Sam Harvey. So, that's my honorable mention. That's a cool story. And it is, if it was a more of a mainstream sport, that is the stuff of movies, really.
It is.
Yeah, maybe someone will make a doco, and you guys can tell me all about it.
Nice
That's
joke.
great.
Nice joke.
So my story of the year, and I don't really know how to word it, to be honest, but it's women in backyard ultras, and more specifically, obviously, Megan and Sarah. Um, I think it's really exciting that there were two women at such a high number who both looked pretty good, had some issues, as most people would at that sort of level. The fact that Sarah won, I think, is kind of exciting as well, because Megan's run, well, she's the world record holder for the 6 day race, female world record holder, which she ran. Oh, I've got it written down here. No, I thought I did. I think she averaged 162 and a half Ks a day for 6 days, which is 100 miles, which is the backyard format, for 6 days, 970 kilometers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's different. It's a different kettle of fish. You've got to get up and go every hour, so it doesn't automatically translate. But yeah, I think we're seeing what women are capable of in the format, and I 100% understand that they have some more to overcome than we do. But yeah, that's my story of the year. I think it's I've been hoping it would come at some point, and yeah, I'm excited to see it. I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Oh, sorry, Tim.
Yeah, having those couple women up so high and for so long at Bigs, it was so cool to watch as well. I thought that they just knocked it out of the park, and it was almost that validation that we'd always kind of thought, that women can go huge, and it was awesome to watch. And like I said, I think that Sarah Perry was probably the only other person that I thought in that final 10 that could be the assist to Phil, because she looks so bloody strong.
And there were correct me if I'm wrong, there were four women in that field.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
Jen Russo was there as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and eat it. And so I think their total between those four women was something like 300 yards,
Mm.
which is, it's massive, like, yeah.
I yeah, my story of the year. One of them, I did have Sarah Perry's run at Bigs. I think she could be the first runner to break through as like a mainstream sports star, or at least the biggest backyard ultra star if she isn't already. Um, Second story of the year is Go One More and King of the Hill. It's like Go One More is already probably the most famous last one standing race in the world, and it's only been run once, and that was earlier this year. It provides huge exposure to its athletes, and it proves you can run a backyard ultra style race without being affiliated with bigs. And in Victoria, we had King of the Hill, and if that could be the biggest or most well-known last one standing race in Australia already. So it could be non-bigs affiliated races that really drive last one standing races and backyard ultra popularity. But that's what it looks like is happening to me. And the dominance of Phil Gore. Like he really is as dominant a sportsman in his sport as any other sports person out there. Like I put him on the same level. I put him above Don Bradman. So
Oh, you've said that before, I think.
have I? I think.
Yeah, I reckon you have.
He always pulls
Because
out
I
the
remember that. I
Michael
remember
Jordan.
thinking, "Whoa."
Remember the Michael Jordan comparison?
Yeah. Yeah.
Poor Phil's going to be running with the biggest head tomorrow. It's going to be so heavy. He's just not going to be able to hold it up. He's going to be running. He's like, geez, why am I running so slow? My head's so big.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Phil's probably not listening to us.
Well, I actually wrote down, I put him on the same level as Farlap and above Don Bradman. But but watching him do what he does in his races, it's just been something else. And like, we are so lucky to be able to be living and witness, not only witnessing it, but running in his races and being able to test ourselves against him and learn from him. People in 100 years will be talking about Phil Gore, and we're lucky enough to be able to see it and live it. So that's my
and you rub shoulders with him.
yeah, that's my backyard ultra story of the year, the dominance of Phil Gore. Dubes, what's your backyard ultra story of the year?
I don't know if it's a bit of a story. I've sort of touched on it briefly already, but it's more of a trend that over the years I've sort of seen developing, and I think it really exploded in 2025. And that's the I think 2025 is the year that backyard ultra running and gym culture collided into one event. And I think um, like the backyard ultra, it obviously presents a physical and mental challenge that the hybrid athlete community are searching for, and it provides a fantastic platform for dudes that maybe traditionally come from a gym background, to test themselves. And look, I think it's fantastic. Like each and every one of us, we've sort of been in the format for a few years now, and I remember, in 2021, all the serious runners, obviously the backyard format's always been fantastic for being inclusive of everyone, high level runners and weekend warriors and everyone in between. But at the high end, it was always just traditional ultra runners and trail runners that really took all the major spots in backyards. But this year, I don't know exactly what it is, and I can't put my finger on it, but there's just been an absolute explosion in participation rates, with hybrid athletes that obviously come from a strong gym and weightlifting background. I think it's particularly noticeable in Australia. I think as Australian backyards specifically have really become urbanized. America's backyards are still very, bush trail orientated, whereas Australia, all our best backyards are really urbanized. You think we've got Sydney's now that's just gone nuts in the last 2 years. Hurdy's has always been a flagship event in Australia. The Clint Eastwood's obviously Brisbane. Melbourne's just established itself. Coffs Harbour. And look, let's not mention that Gold Coast is coming up in 2026, and that'll just be flooded. Gold Coast has obviously been a gym stronghold for forever. So no doubt that will bring heaps and heaps of hybrid athletes to the format. And look, I think it's fantastic because it just opens up. It's inclusive for absolutely every athlete and allows them to get exactly what they want out of a race. That's my story.
There'll definitely be a few fit bodies going around at Gold Coast Backyard Ultra.
I think there will be, mate. And I think also, look, people, in gym environments, they tend to be very social media savvy as well. And that really goes hand in hand and really plays well with the backyard format, with documentaries and social media gathering steam in this format. So I think gym culture have already really got established social media ties. So I think it plays really well for the format that we've got a whole new demographic of athlete coming into the format. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah. Hey Tim, you've really got into the filming your races side of things this year.
Yeah, I've the social media side of it's a big one. I think uh, it's really good for exposure, and I think that that Laz's camp they're maybe not doing enough for the sport in those terms. Phil Gore is a perfect, like I said earlier, he's a real good advocate for backyard ultras, but mainly through his social media because and that's why most people know about it, not so much through what Laz or his team are doing. And the King of the Hill guys for their last one standing, they had an actual social media content plan, and it was I think it was like 3 reels an hour. And at the start, you could just see it slowly building, and then more people get interested, and more and more and more and more. And then by the end of it, because we're so normalized, we think that all these things are just normal, that we go run for 2 days. But the general public has no idea what we do. So there is a reel of me walking across the finish line, sitting there sitting down in my chair, Ollie passing me my headphones, and him putting in my hypnosis thing, right? And I laid back, and it was a 43-second clip. It's had 3.4 million views on Instagram. And for me, it's like that's the most boring clip ever. Like we'll create content, and it'll be all wordy with fancy music, but people are intrigued because normally when they see a person cross the finish line, they're like, "Yay, I'm finished!" But they're watching this person go to sleep. So people are actually intrigued by what we do, and the more exposure we get from, Phil was pretty good. He had a social media content plan as well for Bigs. But for Last Legend, my wife did it, and it's hard because it's fumbly and it's fiddly, and you're trying to capture something and just a quick little caption. But that's the best way to expose our sport to the greater public. So I think it's huge, and I think it's only going to get bigger. The Sydney guys, they're all over it as well. They understand how all that works because the more eyes on our sport, the more advertising that can come into it. You really look at it, we all train like professional athletes, but we don't get paid like professional athletes. And I think the likes of Phil and the Belgian guys and everyone that's pushing to near that 100 mark, these guys should be getting paid. And you're going to events, and often you're paying to go into one of these events, and you're training 25 hours a week, and you've got a 40-hour a week job. Most people that train for 25 hours a week, they're at the Australian Institute of Sport or any of those things. And I guess can I lead into my story of the year?
Yeah.
Because it kind of does lead into off what I just said, and it's based around commentary. So I think that's one of the biggest stories to come out of the year is the commentary around backyard ultras and last one standings, because that's what's getting all the eyes on this sport. And what I think advertisers are going to come to understand is that there is money in it. It's the test cricket of running, essentially. It was playing 24 hours a day, pretty much in our household. I conveniently was sick for 4 days at work, and I had a little bit of a cold, but I used it as a good enough excuse to get a certificate from work. And we were just watching it, and we were kind of glued to it constantly. We're like, what's going to happen next? And you'd see people come past the camera, you'd make some comments on it. And the same thing was happening with the King of the Hill guys. Like the commentary thing, it's a thing, and it's exposing our sport to so many people. People can't believe that they go to bed and they wake up the next morning, people are running. They go to work, they come home, people are still running, and then they think, "Oh, last Saturday these guys were running. Now it's Wednesday, and these same people are running." These people, most people don't even know that it's happening, but through what you've been able to do at Dead Cow Gully and Biggs as well. I mean, the Biggs commentary was good. I thought Dead Cow Gully was a lot better, but through that the commentary side of things, it is a thing. And I mean, the guys at King of the Hill proved to everyone as well. You don't need to know what you're talking about. Essentially, you just need to be saying, "Oh," you just need to commentate what's happening. You know, people were, and they were just going, "Oh, you wouldn't believe what happened." People just want to know what's happening and get a little bit of an update. No one's glued to the TV for the whole time, but they're checking.
Uh-oh. We've lost we've lost Tim, I think. Oh, there he
Oh,
is.
he's back.
You were just reaching your
Crescendo.
yeah, you were reaching your crescendo and you dropped out, Tim.
That's all right.
Can
I
you
always
start?
I
Can
go
you
on rants all the time.
start from King of the Hill?
Oh, I don't know. I mentioned them a few times.
Um,
No, but yeah, what they did was pretty awesome, and I think that they didn't know what they were really talking about in terms of commentary, but at the end of the day, they just talked about what was happening, and
and
that's
they
what people.
and they had passion as well. Like they were crying watching bits while they were commentating.
Oh yeah, and that's because they couldn't believe what they were seeing for themselves.
Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. I couldn't believe how good it was. I knew it would be good, but you're right that if you've got commentators there the whole time, comment like talking to the people who are watching at home and answering questions of the comments, it adds so much engagement to the stream and people stay and it kind of like goes viral.
Oh, 100%. And because there's so many eyes on it and everyone's just excited by what's going on and everyone has their favorite. And then that's when characters are introduced. You've got, obviously Oriel, he's huge in the sport now. You got Bagman, you had Harvey, obviously everyone from America's following, him because they want to, ride on his shoulders. And yeah, you create all these characters in this performance and that's what people want. People, and then what people see is they're attracted to those races because though everyone's, I want to be that guy. I want to be I want my own hero story.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Okay, so we've all had our turn at Backyard Ultra Story of the Year. I think so.
Yeah, I had a quick honorable mention, and that was
Okay.
Evo becoming the number one Belgian as well. I thought that was pretty special. For a long time there, I think Evo's been, in the shadow of Merrin and then Frank the Tank because they're probably two bigger characters. But then him finishing as the assist at Biggs was pretty special, and yeah, I love it. He's an older guy too, gives us all hope.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so 2026 predictions. Dubes, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Look, I think Australia will definitely find its third ever 100 looper. Who that is, I'm not sure. It could be half a dozen you could throw in the air. Obviously, like Dan Carmack, if he wants to do another backyard, like a 93 at Biggs probably equates to a big 100 in Australia, knowing Australian conditions. a very big number conducive. Ryan Crawford, he's been thereabouts for so many years. Um, Jashi leapfrogged him, as I said earlier, getting to that 100 before him. But I've got no doubt that Ryan Crawford's not far away. And then sort of just below him, you've obviously got yourself, Tim and Blanton. You could easily get to 100. And then that bottleneck of guys in the 50s and 60s that I spoke of earlier, like one or two of them could easily pop up. There's no doubt that we got some really good runners coming up at the moment. And they've just got to be given the right platform in the right race, in the right conditions. And I've got no doubt this year we'll get at least our third 100 looper. And sort of going on that, I really think this could be the year that Australia can win the SAT champs. Look, Belgium will be very hard to beat. Their top 5 runners are all world class. But look, I hope Phil still wants to come back to the SAT champs, and I hope he still dreams of sort of captaining the SAT champs to a win. I'd love if Phil could still be the backbone of that team. One, because obviously I'm on it, so I want him to race. So we've got a better chance of winning. Like to be honest, I don't think we win without him. So I think the team needs him. Sorry to put that on you, Phil. But I think we're now in a position where all the sort of, the runners that weren't super strong in previous SAT champs iterations, I think that's been ironed out. So I think now we're ready for a really rock solid group of 15, whoever that may be. Good luck to them. And that bottom number, that 15th number, I think will probably be 66. So if you're below 66, either get a silver ticket or get 66 and win, or 67 or something like that. So they're my predictions.
Yeah, love it. What about you, Tim? What are your predictions for 26?
I had a quick question, Matt. Do you think that the other countries are just as keen as what Australia is, or is the culture as strong around backyard ultras as what it is for Australia?
Look, I definitely think the big 4, being Australia, USA, Belgium, and Japan, have separated themselves quite clearly. I think we're clearly the 4 strong nations in backyard running. But look, I've got to be honest. I honestly think Australia put on the best backyard ultra races in the world. I've never watched an international race and said that's like, apart from bigs and championship style races, but I've never watched an international race and said that race is put together better than an Australian race. I think Australia put on the best backyard ultras in the whole world, and that's why people come from overseas to race in Australia, and not many Australians go abroad to race. Because I think we do it
That's
the
a good
best.
point. Yeah, that's a good point, actually.
I think we do it the best, and maybe backyard racing is our thing. Maybe we can overtake USA and Belgium as the powerhouse of backyard racing. Look, no doubt every single nation will think that they've got a chance to win as well. Like right now, if you got all the boys from Belgium together, they'd say we can't possibly lose this. But I think we've got a good chance this year. I really do.
Yeah, because I often wonder, like, do they have the Crows or the Joel Sextons or the Barry Keens, like because we obviously know all these people because obviously we race in Australia, but I just wonder whether there's those people coming through just as keen, or have those people in some of these other countries, like especially Belgium, when you look at it, to make that team, you got to be running 100 just to make the bloody team. So whereas at least in Australia, I feel like we're almost poised for that perfect mix of competitors in that 15. We've got the world champion, then we've got guys that can run 100 or the high 90s. And then, it filters down really nicely so that everyone can kind of give everyone else a leg up.
I agree.
Nice. And what are your predictions for 26, Tim?
So predictions for me, I had Aussies to actually win the Sat Champs. And I think I might have said that last time too. I think if you say it, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think that we can, and for the reasons that I kind of just said about, we're kind of coming through, and we finally have the team that can match the Belgians. And of last time we kind of had the team as well. I thought that we did, but we relied really heavily on the big names that we'd had from the previous 2 or 3 years. So we had, obviously Phil and Ryan, Jimmy B. So we really relied on those guys to do all the kind of the heavy lifting, especially Ryan and Phil right at the end. But now we've got coming through that have leapfrogged Ryan and Jimmy B. And I reckon Ryan and Jimmy B are looking where they sit in the Aussie team, and I reckon they're frothing for that 100 yards. And I don't think because we've seen the Belgians do it, and we've seen so many of them do it, and I reckon it's Australia's turn to do it. I just hope that it's not Belgians' turn to have 10 guys break the world record, because they seem to be like knock it out of the park every time. The first time it was they ran 100. The second time they had 3 guys run a world record. So yeah, I think that we do have probably our best chance, and I think that the world record will be broken at a Sat Champs event by the country that wins it. I think that that's what it takes, and I think that if if any Aussies are listening that are on the team and they want to go, they want to win it, they've got to be willing to break the world record. Otherwise, if our team doesn't break the world record, I don't think that we can win the Sat Champs. So that Belgium have proven that that's the best way to do it, and I think that that's kind of the way to do it.
Yeah. The Reds course as well looks like a really perfect course for the Australian team too.
Have you ran it before?
I haven't, but I mean, everyone who has tells me it's such a great course to run big numbers. It looks like a golf course, like a fairway on a golf course.
That's what you need. That's one thing that I actually found at King of the Hill was that my legs were nowhere near as sore because I was often you might think that paddock grass is not great, but the actual ground was really nice and absorbent. And I think that Herdy's was really tough last time. Ben, how was your body after Herdy's? It would have been trashed.
Me?
Yeah,
Oh, no.
I've heard it.
It was pretty good.
Was it? Mine was trash. I was
Sorry, I wish
trash
I
from
could
how
lie.
hard it was. No, from how
Sorry.
hard I'm talking about how hard the actual how compacted down it was, the limestone at Herdy's.
Yeah, I honestly, I pulled up really good.
Did you?
Yeah, sorry.
Lucky you.
Yeah,
Nah,
apart from my insides.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I did look. Me personally, at King of the Hill, I actually found the course. So the ground was nice and soft. So if you're saying that it's like a fairway at Reds, then it's going to be a lot easier on the bodies.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have as many shock absorbers maybe as Ben, so it's a little bit harder on it's a little bit harder on my body.
Any more predictions for 26, Tim?
No, I think Sarah Perry, she'll be the first female to run 100 if she can find a race where someone else runs 100.
Hmm.
And that's about it. I think that, yeah, I think she's a phenomenal athlete. I didn't know she's like the Ehor of a couple of years ago, where won the national champs and then went on to almost double his PB. And Sarah was very similar to that.
Yeah. What about you, Ben? Your predictions for 26?
A little bit similar, a little bit different. I don't think the world record will be broken. But if it is, it will be broken at the Sat Champs. I think. Hopefully by us, but pretty solid chance that the Belgians will make it their priority for the year. Who knows? We know they've got the course for that sort of distance, and they've got the teamwork and the mind for it. So, but I don't think it will. I think we're underestimating how far 119 is, but we'll see. The other big prediction I've got is that we'll find out that sometime this year we'll find out that Bigs 2027 won't be in Tennessee.
Ah.
Yeah, that's my prediction, and I think we'll find out it's in Europe, which would be cool, and that'll make me even more motivated to chuck a week-long sickie and make sure I don't end up on Instagram anywhere.
Ben,
Hey?
sorry to butt in, mate. Do you think it's possible that like the winner of the SAT champs could get hosting rights? Do you think that could be an option instead of just players giving it to Europe?
I think it's a great idea. I think that's what it should be. Yeah, but whether they go with that, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, Belgium's a solid chance to win it anyway. So, but yeah, they're probably the obvious choice in my opinion. Either that or I don't know if Alex Hull is still around with his race in Germany or not. But yeah, so that's my prediction. Have you done yours yet, Patto?
No, I'm saving mine for last.
Well, I've just got a little bit of a bonus section. I went through all of our predictions for last year, and
Oh, awesome.
yeah. But do you want to do yours first?
Yeah, I'll do mine, and then we'll go back. We'll throw back to you. All right. So I've got three predictions. The first is that at least one person sitting in this podcast right now will break 100.
I'm not saying it's me, but I'm saying it's you, Patto.
Yeah.
Yeah, hope so. But I hope it's all of us.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I think Go One More will break 100 and create more confusion about if it counts as an official record or not. And the Australian Backyard Ultra team will bring back the nickname the Red Backyarders.
Cool prediction.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, Ben, you've got the previous.
All right. So I just did this for a bit of fun. I'll tell you straight up, okay? The only person that got two correct predictions was me. I predicted that Megan would run 90 plus. I think I predicted that she would do it at Capital, but she didn't run at Capital. And then I predicted that Phil would win bigs. Dubes,
0.
you do you remember yours?
I know. I predicted Harvey to win
Yeah,
big.
you predicted Harvey to win the
And
third
I'm
bigs
so
in a row.
sorry. Yeah,
And for it to be an almost unbreakable, record.
completely wrong.
And I feel a bit bad about this one because you also predicted that Patto would win a race.
Oh,
Wasn't sure whether to mention that one or not. But,
horrible.
I was thinking about that prediction all year.
Yeah. I thought Echuca was definitely the one, mate, until bloody Ross put his name down.
I was feeling so good there. The only reason why I stopped is my knee had actually started swelling up and hurting so much I could no longer put any weight on it. So, but apart from that,
What did Merrin say to you at Decal Gully when you complained about your knee?
Yeah, well, I told him about it, and he started asking me more questions, like, "Did it hurt when you moved sideways? Did it hurt?" And then he thought for 5 seconds. He goes, "You could have kept going."
And that's how you do 110.
Yeah.
Righto, Patto, you predicted a new MVP course record, which I think we can all agree now is just the unbreakable course record.
Of course.
Yeah, 100%.
you got the only other correct prediction. You predicted that a Victorian race would go 60 hours or more.
Yes.
Ooh,
Yeah, nice work. So,
thank you very much, Patto.
well done, dude. Ryan to break 100 more than once.
Uh,
So we didn't get that, but that's a big ask.
yeah.
And you predicted that Megan would get more than 100. So you still weren't that far off.
Mm.
Timmy, you said more than 10 people would go over 100 at Bigs, and it was 8.
You
You were
Oh,
close. You were close.
that's a good effort. Good effort.
But you also claimed that the world record would get broken at Bigs, and it would be 125 hours.
Oh, I was close there too.
You were 12 off. I reckon Evo would have felt those 12.
Yeah, I don't think his back could have handled another 12 loops.
Sorry, you were 11 off, but Evo had
Yeah.
to run 12 more. Yeah. So, yeah, that were the predictions for last year. So hopefully we do a bit better this year.
Yeah, I'll
really-
actually take that.
I really like this segment, Ben. We got to keep this. This is a really
I had to
good
make up for
segment.
not ever watching a doco.
Yeah. Well, this can be your you can be the recap from the last year guy every year.
Sounds good.
We just got to come up with a better name than the recap from the last year guy.
No, I think that sticks. Yeah.
Ben, the recap guy, Nicholls.
Awesome, guys. I loved it. I knew I would love it, but I loved it even more than I thought I would.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's
Thanks
not.
for having us, Patto.
It's not only my favorite podcast. It's probably my favorite day.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, awesome, guys. I guess I'll see you during the year anyway, but Merry Christmas, everyone, as well.
Yeah, Merry
Merry
Christmas,
Christmas.
everyone. Have an awesome New Year's.
Thanks.
Thanks, mate.